Hey everybody, welcome. It's Monica Dubay, and I have the pleasure of interviewing Cathy Gooden of Gooden Life today. And I'm so excited. You're going to want to stick around and really hear this because it's transformative. It will change how you look at food and how you look at nutrition and what it all means and why diets don't work. All right, because thousands and thousands of people, millions go on diets and they end up not working for most people. So, this is a very different program that we're dealing with here. I took Cathy's program last fall, completely changed how I look at food and snacks and coffee and sugar and my whole life has changed because of it because I learned a lot about nutrition and about human beings and how human beings think and what keeps us struggling with the whole nutritional programs or that we're trying to implement, what works and what doesn't work. And what's so great about Cathy is that she's got tons of experience from her own personal life as well as all the clients she's been working with. And so I just want to first start with you, Cathy. Tell me what your story is. Like, why did you just get into this? How did this happen for you?
Thank you so much, Monica, for having me here. I'm really grateful for you. My experience actually is about 6 years ago. When I was in my early 50s, I was running a large voluntary health organization. I was taking care of my family. I was doing all the things. I was taking care of everyone except for me. And I had been on multiple diets up and down, and pounds have been coming on slowly over the years. And I just sort of didn't really notice it, sort of was in denial and constantly kind of stressed out. And then something really tragic happened. We got a knock on our door, and on the other side of that door was a police officer. This was in January of 2016, and that police officer was there to tell us that my son's father had committed suicide.
Hmm.
We were just devastated. My son Zach and I had not been in contact with him for quite a while. Zach had moved to Florida, and unfortunately, he had been alone and kind of became a recluse, and none of us knew it. So it just turned all of our world upside down. And my son came back to live with us, and I had to reevaluate everything. And I actually left this job that I thought I loved so much and needed to take time for healing and to deal with the estate issues and to really deal with the shame and guilt around him, you know, committing suicide and us not knowing about it. And so I did that, and I found myself doing this incredible health transformation program. And it is based on nutritional anthropology. And I did it for 13 weeks. And through that 13 weeks, I learned about how to eat with seasonally. I learned about all of the hungers, my emotional hunger. I let go of the stress and anxiety and really had such a transformation that I decided to get certified in this program because I thought, I'm feeling this amazing and had this kind of transformation. It is my personal mission and my responsibility to bring this to the world. So that's how I started coaching it. It's actually a Wild Fit is the curriculum, and my company and my program is called Live the Good in Life.
Oh, that's so incredible. And I'm so sorry you went through that horrible experience um, of losing your ex-husband so tragically. Um, I know that when we go through these deep tragedies, they often are very life changing, and they offer you a new kind of a rebirth or a way to start over or look at things that you weren't looking at before. And so
Absolutely.
it's kind of a wake up call. So that's what I heard. So thank you so much for sharing that. You used a term that I'm not familiar with. It's called nutritional anthropology. Could you tell
Yes.
us about that and what that means?
Absolutely. So the founder of WildFit, who I studied with and got certified with, actually was able to live with the Hadza Bushmen in Africa for many years and really studied them and their habits and their nutrition. So when you look at nutritional anthropology, it's really looking at how are we as human beings designed. We are designed to eat live food and natural food and go through seasons. And basically, that's the core of the program, along with a lot of mindset shifts and a lot of other components to the program.
Hmm.
So,
Go
There
ahead.
are 6 human hungers that are tied to nutritional anthropology, right? They're human hungers. They're hungers that we as humans all experience, but we're not even often aware that they're hungers because sometimes we think we're hungry, but we're really not because, for example, we're thirsty. And thirsty
Mm,
is the number one human hunger I talk about because it is, I call it the low hanging fruit of wellness. And if you think about it, we're over 70% water, right? So we need water to nourish our bodies, to nourish ourselves. And every night when we go to sleep, we actually get dehydrated, extremely dehydrated. So in the morning, when we get up, it's really important to start replenishing ourselves with water. And as humans, we need to have 6 to 8 glasses of water per day minimally. And how many of us really do that, right? How many of us drink that much water? And a lot of times we think we're hungry, but honestly, we're just thirsty. So that's the first human hunger.
okay,
This,
so I want to just say that, like, just not to interrupt you, but
yeah,
so
no,
that
please.
alone is transformational because I used to be a massage therapist and some of my clients were like, "Oh, I don't really drink water." And I'm like, "You don't drink water?" Like, hello. But it's true. Some people don't drink water. They wake up in the morning and have coffee, which is probably the worst thing they can do. And they, because that's dehydrating, and you need to replenish those fluids. So that's huge. And I'm really glad that you brought that up because a lot of times we think, we have hunger, but we're thirsty and we need to replenish
Yes.
our fluids.
It really is huge, and just having that awareness about it. And you're right about the coffee. I used to be that person. The alarm would go off, and I run out the door. I grab my coffee on the way, and so I started to dehydrate myself right at the beginning of the day because coffee is very dehydrating. So I would ask for everyone watching, please at least have your water before you have your coffee. And there's another great little hack for water. If you squeeze half of a lemon in it, it makes it alkaline, and that will detox your system if you do that first thing in the morning. So I've been doing that for 6 years now, and it's a game changer.
It is. It
Yeah,
flushes your system too, so it's a really great
yes.
way to flush things through you, if you're having any issues with that. So what are the other human hungers? This is really interesting.
The second human hunger is variety. And this human hunger of variety is really here to help us survive. We crave the variety because our body craves nutrients. It needs nutrients. It needs all the different nutrition. So sometimes we think we're hungry, but we're really just needing some variety. Have you ever gone through phases where you eat the same thing all the same, for a week or 2 weeks? You have so you're like, I just can't eat that again. Your body's craving variety. Your body is so wise. It really knows what it needs. So that is the second human hunger is variety.
So different fruits and vegetables that you don't normally eat, like, instead of
Yes,
going to the shop
we
and
need
getting the
different.
same stuff.
Exactly. We need
Yeah,
different foods for different nutrients.
yeah.
So it's really good to cycle the greens that you eat instead of being, instead of spinach all the time, cycle in some kale, different kinds of fruits, because everything has different nutrients. And we are designed to eat seasonally. So if you think about our ancestors, they went through seasons. They had berries when berries were in season. And when they weren't there, they didn't have them anymore. They
Mhm.
had to they had to cycle in and out of seasons. And in our Western world, we have food everywhere all the time, and a lot of that food is not nutritional. So that's the third human hunger is nutritional hunger. And that's really the only true human hunger is we need proper nutrition. So if we are out and about and we're grabbing food at the grocery store, or we're going, wherever we're just always getting foods that are in plastic or in bags. Those foods are not packed with nutrition, very little nutrition. And a lot
Mm.
of times they have a ton of sugar and processed things in them that really are not fueling our body. And we keep thinking we're hungry, so we eat more and more of those foods, but we're never satisfied, right? And sometimes we're just thirsty. Those things also make us thirstier. So it's a vicious cycle all around. So the nutritional hunger is truly the only real human hunger.
Yeah, and then we have, the issue with soil and not having enough nutrients in our soil anymore, so we have to replace that
Yes,
more minerals and vitamins and things that we're not getting. It's a kind of a tragic thing, and I think a lot of us aren't even aware. We're just so, you know, we watch
absolutely.
TV, we go get fast food. I did that when my kids were little. I fed them so much like chicken
I
nuggets. And now
know.
I think about it, it's like, oh my God, what was I doing?
You didn't know any better. We all did
I
that.
didn't. I kind of did, but it was like easy. I didn't have to cook.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think a lot of us really don't really have, we just don't have the awareness because we're not educated.
Absolutely. We're just so used to eating all of those convenient things, and the convenience of those things over years is really damaging our body, and it's causing inflammation in our
Mhm.
bodies. And over time, and that's why diets don't work, because over time, you start restricting calories, and then your body goes, hey, wait, I'm going to slow down the metabolism because I'm not getting enough food, and it feels scarcity, right? And maybe it
Mhm.
works for a little while, but then you're on that yo-yo diet because your body is saying, I'm protecting you, but you gain the weight back again when you go off of it, right? So that's part of
I see.
the whole yo-yo dieting phenomenon that gets worse every single time we do it.
Yeah, so restricting the amount of food is probably not a great idea. Is that right?
No, and this is what we are taught by the
Mhm.
the diet and food industry is calories in, calories out. You eat less calories and then you go burn them off and you're going to lose the weight. But that's actually like the worst thing that you can do over time for your body because you
Mhm.
are restricting it. You're feeling restricted, first of all, and it's very hard to sustain. It's temporary, and diets are temporary. They're not a lifestyle. So maybe it works the first few times, but eventually over time your body starts getting your metabolism will actually slow down, and you will not only not be able to release the weight, you'll keep putting the weight back on. So, and the diet and food industry loves that because they want to sell more of those products
Of course.
that are
There's a lot
keeping
of
you
money
fat.
that one.
Honestly,
Yeah.
they're just keeping you fat. To
And
put it
profiting. And then well, we can't go down that road because then you have the medical system that wants to give you pills to just solve it for you. And then
right. And
there
then
you
it's
go.
a vicious cycle, right?
They're
And our
trying to keep
bodies are
you.
wonderfully and beautifully designed. They are designed to heal themselves. And that, again, is what the program, the nutritional anthropology, is based on eating live foods, but also doing it seasonally. So you're able to go in and out of seasons as our ancestors did. There is fat burning season, and there is, a season where you keep the fat on. So learning how to do that and cycling through that process in your lifetime is just so incredibly valuable. And that is what I do in the 13 weeks of the program. So there's a fourth human
How
hunger.
many human hunger? Okay, so number 4, go ahead.
Number 4 is low blood sugar.
Mhm.
So have you ever felt that crash in the afternoon, you
Always.
know,
Yep.
all the time?
Well,
Like our
not
blood
always,
sugar
but I certainly remember
used
that
to.
in school and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the classic afternoon dip that a lot of us experienced when we're like so tired and it's the afternoon, and what we'll go do is we'll go get some coffee or we'll go get a donut or we'll get some chocolate and we'll get back up. So our blood sugar is going up and down and up and down. And that is the other kind of human hunger. When your blood sugar goes way, way down around your ankles, you're hangry. But it's really not a hunger, it's a low blood sugar. And our bodies love stabilized blood sugar. That's our body's love language, is a stabilized blood sugar. But most of us are going up and down because of the foods that we're consuming and the way that we're consuming them.
So blood sugar is really key as well. And that must have an emotional component to it because I think that when you get that low, it's like, oh, I want the coffee because I want to do the rest of my day and have energy and it actually has the opposite effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Emotional hunger is the last one we're going to talk about because
Okay, good.
that's related to so many things. And that's what a lot of my clients experience and aren't
Yeah.
aware they're experiencing until they do a deep dive. The
So
fifth
do
hunger.
number 5, and I'm really looking forward to the because that's what shifted for me so much in your program was the emotional
Yes.
need to go get food all the time when in fact it was more I was feeling alone and lost and
You were feeling
trying.
lonely or you were feeling an emotion of sorts. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Go ahead and do
I
the
just
number 5.
number 5 is empty stomach hunger.
I
And
have that right now, actually.
have you ever felt like your stomach's empty and like growling and you felt that hunger before?
Yeah.
So our stomachs are designed to stretch. And if
Oh,
you think again about our ancestors, they didn't have food all the time. And when they found food, they ate a lot of it all at once. So that's why our stomachs can stretch out.
Mm.
and they're designed to come back in and be emptier and less full. Then we have this unconscious ritual in the Western world of eating 3 meals a day, right?
Mm.
So it's an unconscious ritual. And frankly, we don't necessarily need 3 meals a day and maybe 4 or 5 snacks. These are all just rituals and things that we've done. And so our bodies get stretched out and they never come back into an empty stomach mode. So sometimes when you're feeling like this empty stomach hunger, it's not really a real hunger. It's just that your stomach is not as stretched out.
Really?
Yeah,
So hunger, like hearing your stomach growl, doesn't mean that you really need to eat?
does not necessarily mean that.
Wow. That's so cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. But
Because
again,
it
it's sort
to
of what
me,
we've
it
learned
triggers.
over time and it's become this, this
Yeah,
habit. Yeah.
I think it triggers that, like, "Oh, I have to eat. I have to jump up and
Yes.
get something because this, I'm obviously hungry."
Yeah.
And you're saying,
Absolutely.
"No, we don't need to do that."
No. And it's also, getting comfortable with that empty stomach feeling. A lot of
Yeah.
people feel like, oh my God, I'm hungry. And they're really not. It's just the empty stomach hunger and it's getting comfortable with it. You just really need to look at, is this nutritional hunger? Or is this a true hunger? Is this thirst? Or is this just my stomach's empty right now? And that's okay. You have to get comfortable with that feeling of it being empty. And a lot of us never really have an empty stomach. We're
Right,
constantly,
because we don't
right?
fast. I mean, our culture does not do any fasting, whereas in
Correct.
other countries, they fast regularly.
Yes, absolutely. And there's a lot
'Cause
of value to intermittent fasting, which is a whole nother conversation.
another topic, yeah, for another day. But it is a part of just the natural thing. Your body doesn't always need to be working on digesting food. It needs a rest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So let's get to number 6 because this is where I think
Number
we
6 is
break.
the really juicy one. Emotional hunger. It's what so many of us experience, and we often don't know that we're experiencing it. So I'll give an example of one of my clients who had this cupcake addiction, right? And she just loved cupcakes. She's in her 40s and she just needed cupcakes all the time and she used them to celebrate something happening and she brought them to the office to share with her team and just like this just really emotional connection to cupcakes. And when we really dived deep into it, we found out that that's what her mother gave her when she was a little girl, when she came home, when she was good and when she finished her homework,
Oh,
right? It was
okay.
so she related that to love. And it was so deep ingrained in her subconscious that she didn't realize that's why she was craving them so much. She was really craving some love. So she learned how to pick up the phone and call a friend or do something different than
Mhm.
eat some more of those cupcakes and those cookies. And that's just one small example of emotional hunger. It's so rampant and it's not always tied to love. It can be, I'm going to reward myself. I got a raise, so I'm going to go have some ice cream. Or
Mhm.
I'm sad. I'm going to go have some ice cream.
Mhm.
We
Yeah,
tie it to all of these things, these emotions.
yeah.
And honestly, it's really the food is not satisfying that emotional need. If you stop and pause before you have the food and just take a moment to reflect and say, do I really need this food? What's really going on for me? It's really a deep dive in self awareness. Do I really need this ice cream right now, or is there something else that I need?
And I like that part because you had this on the refrigerator and you could ask yourself when you go to get something, what's really going on with me? And then you got to see, is it just because I'm feeling alone? Is it just because I feel depressed or sad or, what's going on emotionally with me that's making me take that step to go get a snack?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Monica. I forgot that. That's one thing we did do in the classes. We put this big
Oh
sign.
yeah.
Why am I here? And then you put that on your refrigerator, and then you put it on your cupboard because it makes you stop and pause for a minute. Like, why am I here? Am I really hungry? Take a breath and I'm not really hungry, I'm just stressed out, or I'm feeling lonely and I'm going to use this as a substitute, or whatever it is. And it's a beautiful self-awareness and a beautiful practice. I still use those little signs because I still do it
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
too.
I moved, so I don't know what I did with it, but I'll find it.
Okay.
It kinda changed how I look at food, and I think this is kind of bringing up a little bit of my history, my past too, because my mother baked all the time. There were always cookies on the counter. There were always pieces of cake or, pie or something. She was a big baker, and I was that way with my kids too. And I realize now that that wasn't necessarily a great thing, right? Because we were always sugar, 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 and we don't
Correct.
even question it.
Yeah, and the other thing about sugar is
Yeah,
that it is highly addictive.
yeah.
There have been studies. A few years ago, there was a study with cocaine and how it impacted the brain of a rat, and sugar and how it impacted the brain of a rat. And you could they would show the centers in the brain that lit up from the addictive part of the brain. I'm not a
Mhm.
scientist. I'm just making this really simple,
That's good.
but
Yep.
sugar is more addictive than cocaine in
Oh my
some
gosh.
instances in more than 70% of the rats. So it's not your fault. That sugar addiction is not your fault. They're just, you need to first become aware of it and then have a process to begin to wean yourself off of the sugar in a supportive community with some awareness.
And
But
I
it's,
think when your program really showed us how to look for signs of sugar in the packaging and the stuff that
yes,
in
yes,
almost everything.
yes, that is another part of the deep dive of the program is
Yeah.
looking and understanding how to read the labels and
Mhm.
what certain foods are. And when you look at the packaging and begin to read the labels, you realize that a lot of the foods are all processed sugar. There's no nutritional value in them. And these are
Mhm.
the things that are making you sicker and making you more inflamed, and you keep eating them. So yeah, it's incredible how much sugar is in everything.
And that's causing like obesity, diabetes, and cancers, and everything that we're struggling with in our healthcare system comes from this lack of knowledge or understanding of how the body works and how nutrition works and what your body really needs. It's like you have to become really educated about this.
Yeah, you're right, Monica. It's an epidemic right now.
It
It really,
totally is.
really is.
Yeah.
And that's why I do what I do. I love helping people have incredible health transformations and taking them through the journey, and letting them not only have the education, but having the deep dive into their own self-awareness and their patterns. And it doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen sometimes without a supportive community to
I
go
think
through.
that's the hardest part is trying to do it by yourself. But
Yeah.
when you have, a group of people, you're doing it together, you're learning together, you're practicing new things. The other thing I really liked about your program is that you don't eliminate much right away. You don't eliminate anything right away. It's a very gradual thing. And it makes you look and makes you make your own choices and your own decisions based on emotional intelligence and awareness.
Yes, that is. Thank you for bringing that up, because that is a
Yeah, that's why
really,
it
really,
works.
it's how it works, right? It's a really
Yeah.
key part of it. The first 2 weeks of the program are highly foundational and highly educational. There's very little changes in how you're eating and what you're eating, because we really want to do deep dive into all of those 6 human hungers and all the other things that we talked about. Then each week after that, there's one little tweak each week. So you're eliminating one little thing, and you do it week by week. So it's baby steps. It's not like
Mm.
you're going on this diet for, cabbage diet for 2 weeks and that's all you're eating. And then, it's just baby steps, one little thing every week to take you through the seasons, and then to bring you back out, and then to teach you at the 13th week how to stay in this lifestyle, how to live this lifestyle. And there is a
Mhm.
highly supportive community all throughout, and we hold your hand throughout the process. Yeah.
Now, I recommended a couple of my clients to you, so I just want you to know they had tremendous results and they lost lots of weight, but I mean, my client was facing surgery and she was facing a lot. She was way overweight, probably 40 pounds overweight, and she
Yes, I know
was.
which person you're talking about.
Yeah, go ahead, tell me about her
Yeah,
because.
she is incredible. I'm so inspired by her, because I never say that we lose weight. We always say we release weight, because we don't want to lose weight. That implies that we're going to find it.
Oh, that's a great point.
Words are so powerful, and we work on our language throughout the program. We work on words and how do we talk to ourselves. It's so many things. It's not just the food, it's understanding, our own self compassion too that comes into it a lot throughout the journey. But this client that you're talking about, she released just 6 weeks in, she'd already released over 26, it was 26 pounds, and it's a 13-week program. And
Mm.
she was pre-diabetic when she went into the program. And at 6 weeks, she was going into a surgery, so she had to have all of her blood work done. Her HbA1c was completely normal. It had, in 6 weeks, it had gone from pre-diabetic to completely normal. And her doctor was so surprised. And releasing that weight too helped her heal from that surgery very much, I think much more quickly than she might have.
Yeah.
And and she's continuing on the journey. You know, after 13 weeks, we do offer monthly support. So she is continuing on the journey, and she's still releasing weight and having
Mm.
tremendous success. And that just makes my heart want to sing, because I want people to be who they're meant to be. I want them to live lives full of love and enjoyment, and be who they need to be in the world. And if you aren't feeling good in your body, if you're feeling sick and tired, you just can't be the light in the world that you're here to be. And we are all here to be some kind of light in the world. And I just help folks at that foundational level. And it makes me so joyful to see their transformation and be part of their journeys.
So great. I'm glad we got to talk about this and really reconnect and let people know how it really works, how this program is different from everything else out there. It's very successful. And so how do people learn about it? I know you're offering another program soon.
Yes, I actually have one starting on Monday. And if you go to my website, my name is Gooden, and it's Gooden Life, Life, Gooden, Life.com. You can learn all about it there, or you can set up a call with me and find out more. And I'm just so excited to start the next one.
I'm so excited too. And I really think like you could be touching so many lives. It's so important. And when we take back our nutrition and how we eat and how we, our attitudes toward food, it's like we're taking back our life and
We
our
are
health.
taking back our life. Yes.
Yeah. And
And we
and
call
not
it food freedom at the end, because at the end of the program, at the 13 weeks, you can choose what food you want. And you have
yes.
abundance, and you have nourishment, and there's no more restrictions. There's no more diets. I say diet is a 4-letter word.
Oh, so
No more
grateful.
diets.
Because those didn't never worked for me either. I mean, I did something called Fit for Life, and that was like what you're talking about. It was transformational in how I ate. This was a little different from Wild Fit, but it didn't have all the education. But I
Yes,
love knowing why, why
yes,
this is not a good way to be.
yeah.
So important. I'm so glad you were here. Do you have any last words of wisdom? And we will put the links in associating with this video on the replay.
I think what I would like to say is there's really no greater investment than you can make in your own health and well-being. And it's so important to put yourself first. And a lot of I see a lot of clients who are always putting everyone else first, their family, their kids, their job, anything, but not putting themselves first. And this is about radical self-compassion and self-care. And I would encourage you, whether you do this program or not, that you just start putting yourself first.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I think it's hard for women, especially because we're so used to being givers and caregivers, and we're sometimes the sole breadwinner, and we're taking care of kids, and it's just like we forget about ourselves, and we think that's good. Somehow we think that that's holy,
Yes.
and
It's
it's
like a
crazy.
rule, right?
It can't work. It
Yeah,
cannot work.
it
I was
does
that
not
way
work.
too growing when I was a mom. So a young mom. So I'm so grateful you're here, and this is so informative. And I just love your program. You're such a great light in the world, and I'm really glad you were here. Just so thank you for
Aw,
being
I love your program too. So we've got some mutual
here. Yeah,
mutual admiration happening here, because you have an
it kind of
amazing
works,
program as well.
to do both together because you do need to change your thoughts and your
Yeah.
beliefs as well as how you eat, and that way you can become the entrepreneur, the business owner, or who you're meant to be, or the mom you're meant to be, the one who's
Yeah.
really sane and holding things together. Put
Yeah.
yourself first, take care of you, and your life will change. So, thank you so
Thank
much.
you. I appreciate it.
Perfect timing, and we are grateful you were listening. Thank you for coming, and please look up Cathy Gooden, goodenlife.com. And
Thanks,
I will
Monica.
see you again next time.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye for now.